Everyone together. Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Om Hari Om. Very good. Well, welcome everyone and namaste. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here with all of you today as we are coming to you from Omaha, Nebraska, from our beautiful ISDS temple here in Omaha. We have, as always, our live congregation of wonderful devotees who are here. But in addition, of course, I welcome all of you who are watching us from throughout the world. And let me tell you what we will be doing today. We are going to be talking about how to have perfection in your life. This is what we're going to be speaking about. So if you are new here, especially if you have just encountered our channel, do not leave whatever you do, because we're going to be talking about some beautiful verses from a wonderful work that is 4,000 years old, called the Mukunda Mala Stotra, a beautiful spiritual work. And we've been going through this for several weeks, and we're going to be looking at 3 more verses today. And if we have time toward the end, we'll have a few minutes of questions and answers as well. But first, as always, we will be going through these beautiful verses written by a most wondrous individual. You know, in the Vedic tradition, we have brought to perfection this concept. This concept is found in many cultures. Oh, you find this in ancient Europe, you find this in China, you find this in Japan, you find this in so many ancient cultures, real cultures. But in Sanatana Dharma, this has been brought to its perfection, and that is this concept of what Plato would call the philosopher king. That is an individual who, to state it in the Sanskrit, is called a Rajarshi. Raja, Rishi. Raja means king, Rishi means sage. An individual who brings together in himself both the qualities of a saint, of a sage on the one hand, yet on the other hand, the qualities of a king. And that means everything that's involved in being a king. That means being a warrior. That means being a ruler, etc. Well, that is the individual who wrote what we're about to read. His name was Kulashekhara. And we've been going through his teachings for quite a few weeks now. We will now continue. So we're going to be looking first at Mukunda Mala Stotra, and this is verse 25. And I'll read this and then I'll comment. O enemy of Madhu and Kait, O Lord of the universe, the perfection of my life and the most cherished mercy you could show me would be for you to consider me the servant of 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 your servant. And that's the verse. We've seen over the last many weeks that we've been going through this work, and we're only up to verse 25. So we're a little bit less than halfway toward the end. That these verses are unique. Even in construct, how they're constructed is unique. But then, more than just from a literary perspective, what is being conveyed, again, from the mind and the heart of this great king who was also a sage is just amazing. So let's go through this. But let's start from the beginning. First, he's addressing God. He says, O enemy of Madhu and Kait. Now, who are these two individuals? Very simply, without going through the totality of the story, these were two individuals who were demons. They were brothers. They came into being, at the very beginning of our universe, interestingly. Lord Brahma was there already. He was the creator being, secondary to God. In Western philosophy, let's say Neoplatonism, Gnosticism, he's called the demiurge, same being. That is a secondary being who creates the material cosmos on behalf of the One, on behalf of God. So that was the first being who was here. But then there appear these two other beings who are brothers, Madhu and Kait. These are brothers, but they're demonic. And as the story goes, they attacked Brahma and tried to literally devour him. Their goal was to kill him and eat him. So these were two demonic beings. And Lord Vishnu himself defeats them. Again, it's a long story. I don't need to tell the whole story. People can look it up. But that's what's being referred to here. He is referring to God, to Nārāyana, who is the enemy of these two demons. But then he goes on with more epithets. O Lord of the universe. And we've encountered this before. This is another name for the Absolute, the Lord of the universe. Now, we know that the universe is vast. What does it mean to be the Lord of the universe? See, even Brahma, who created the universe on behalf of God, is not the Lord of the universe. You see, it's kind of like if you own a company and you hire a manager to now take care of the company, do everything, etc. Oh, that manager may be doing a good job, but he's not the owner. He's not the Lord of that company. In the same way, it is actually Nārāyana who is the Lord of the universe. By extension, only one universe? No, we know that within Sanatana Dharma there are multiple universes. So, by extension, the Lord of all universes. But now he goes on, and now he makes it personal for himself. And he says, the perfection of my life, let's stop there. Let's stop there. That is what the theme is how to achieve such perfection, spiritual perfection, the perfection of surrendering to God. For the next 3 verses, we're going to be speaking about this. Now let's speak about that for a moment. What is meant by perfection? When people hear this word, this was less so the case in the past. When intelligent people heard the word perfection, they saw it as a challenge. They saw it as a heroic challenge, perfection. Yes, let me try to achieve perfection. Today it's very different. Today this word intimidates people. And they'll use all this phraseology. Whoa, no one's perfect. Oh, why do I have to be perfect, etc., etc., etc. Not quite understanding what is meant by this word. See, today, when people hear this word perfection, they take a quantitative sort of approach. In other words, what do they think of perfection? What do they think this means? Again, they think of Superman. They think of some comic book character, something like this, that, oh, what is perfection? It means I can do anything. I can lift any mountain, etc., etc., etc. That's not what is meant by perfection in the spiritual sense, because that's just quantity. That's just quantity. And all powers are given to us by God. Oh, let's say that somehow you had the power to lift a mountain. Trust me, there will be someone else who can lift a higher mountain, a bigger mountain, a heavier mountain. And that's the nature of what it means to be human. No, we're not talking about a quantitative perfection. What is meant by perfection is that we as living beings, as souls, as Atmans, in and who, what we truly are, come to the fruition of who and what we truly are. That we are not burdened anymore by illusion, by fears, by all of these things that we know we have in our mind, all these little psychological shadows that are there. They're gone. What it means is that we now have the bliss, the joy, the peace of knowing who we are perfectly, knowing who we are within, and knowing who is the source of who we are. Having all this, now we come to a point of perfection. So, how do we come to this point of perfection? Now the rest of this verse and the next 2 verses show us how. So, let's start again with this clause. The perfection of my life and the most cherished mercy that you could show me. Now again, let's pause there. This next little clause after, the perfection of my life, begins to show us how we achieve that perfection. How do we achieve that perfection? As I've always said to people, this is how we grow spiritually. It's a combination. It's not either it's all me and my effort, my labor. Let me see how great I can be. It's not just that, but it's also not just, it's all God's grace. It's all God's grace. Nothing I can do. I'm helpless. Let me just sit here and God, when you bestow your grace upon me, I'll have perfection. It's not one or the other. It's a healthy combination of both. On the one hand, we are to strive for excellence in everything that we are. Everything. This is what it means to be, and this ancient Sanskrit word, Arya, noble. This is what it means. We strive for the best that we can be in everything. Physically, mentally, financially, intellectually, and on and on and on and on. We do strive on the one hand. On the other hand, we also know that ultimately, to reach that ultimate perfection, my striving is not enough. But ultimately, I also need the grace of the Absolute upon me. I need God's mercy. I need both together. So this being the case, now let's look at this. And the most cherished mercy that you, God, can show me. Now, this is what's amazing. I read this verse and we saw that repetition toward the end. There's a reason why. It's not just an interesting literary construct. What does he say is that which will give him perfection, and which is God's mercy that he can even do this? What is it? Let me read the full thing again, because this is in the Sanskrita. It actually does repeat. For you to consider me to be the servant of 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 your servant. Now, is this just meant to be interesting sounding? What does he mean by this? Well, let's go into this a little bit, because when we go into this, we're going to see it's infinitely more profound than we think, actually. First of all, let's start with the simple. By saying this, in other words, by not just saying, oh, please make me your servant, but rather, again, that string. No, don't make me your servant. Please make me the servant of your servant. Is he displaying humility? Oh, of course. Of course. That's one thing that he's doing. You know, if you understand that you are in the presence of not just the greatest being that you can think of. Right now, I challenge everyone. We all have a hero in life, maybe a historical hero. Think of the greatest person you can think of, who, if you could meet them today, you would just say to the person humbly, "Sir, let me serve you." Think of that person. Hold that person in your mind right now. Well, imagine we're not even talking about that person. We're talking about that which is the source of an infinite number of such heroes. That's who we're talking about. That being the case, is it enough for us to go to God and even say, "Oh Lord, let me be your servant"? But rather in a display of humility, understanding who we are in the presence of. Now this makes sense. That you don't even have the pride, false pride, to say, "Oh, let me be your servant." Who am I to be God's servant? Who am I? To be the servant of that being who is the source of an infinite number of heroes, of great people, of great sages. Instead, this is the mentality of the devotee. No, let me be the servant of the servant of the servant, etc., of your servant. So humility is there, but there's something deeper that is here as well. And that is what in the Sanskrita is called parampara. Parampara. It's interesting. Every time I hear this word, it almost sounds like what it is. Parampara, parampara. It has an interesting little sound to it. Repetition, repetition. What that term means is this, that how is it that we are to actually know God? We are indeed to know God by approaching God's servant. We don't approach God directly. Oh, we can. There's nothing wrong with that. But who can approach God directly today? You see, that's the challenge. Oh, I want to know God. All right. What do I do? It's one thing to say, I want to know God, but we know that God is infinitely great. And to just say, I want to know God, God is not going to appear before us. Therefore, what is the vehicle through which we know God? We approach that servant of God. In other words, we approach a truly great person, a person who we know is close to God. I've described this many, many times, and I'm the first person to describe this. I first started using this phraseology in the 1990s. That this is the purpose that a great sage, a guru, an acharya, a rishi, this is the purpose that they serve. They are a clear window onto the spiritual world, such that when you see a window, Even people here in our temple, we have windows. When you look at a window, what are you seeing? Are you seeing something that doesn't exist? No, it exists. You can go up to the window and tap it. Not only does it exist, and it has its own existence, more importantly, it serves a purpose with that existence. It doesn't exist just for itself. It exists such that you can see through it to the other side. In the same way, that's the guru, that's the sage, that's the saint. He has his own existence, but he also exists such that through him you can see the spiritual realm. When we wish to know God with our eyes, we can't see God. But what's the second best thing that we can do? We can approach someone who is a servant of God. But even then, interestingly, that servant of God belongs to, and here's that word again, a parampara. That is a disciplic succession, telescoping from where we are now all the way to the very feet of God himself. So, those individuals who strictly follow the Vedic path, we are initiated by a guru, an authorized, authentic, bona fide guru, who in turn is initiated by the same sort of guru, who in turn is initiated by another guru, etc., stretching back throughout the 20th century, stretching back to the 15th, to the 1st, stretching back yugas and yugas and yugas to millions of years, stretching back to the very beginning of time itself, such that who is the Adi Guru? Adi means first. Who is that first guru? It's God himself. So thus, it's interesting how what is being mentioned here, really, by Kulashekhara is also this idea of parampara. I serve my guru, such that he can serve his guru, he can serve his guru, etc., stretching back and stretching up to the very feet of God himself. And this being the case, what are we now within? We are within a divine current, a divine flow coming from God to gods, to then humans, and stretching all throughout history, all throughout the ancient world up until this very day of quite literally 2026. This is an amazing thing. So when we take initiation from a real guru, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And what an amazing thing this is, that I've had to point this out to people. It's interesting. There are so many ancient spiritual traditions, and they're all beautiful. The truly ancient ones, that is pre-Abrahamic. They're all beautiful. There are spiritual traditions in Europe. There are Germanic ones. There are Greco-Roman ones. There are Chinese ones, and on and on and on. And so many of them are truly beautiful. But sadly, this is the Kali Yuga, and something horrible has happened within the course of roughly the last 2,000 years. And that is, most of these traditions are broken. Most of them. Not all, but most of them. Sadly, that parampara, that I can say to you, oh yes, this is my teacher, and this is his teacher, and not going back to the 18th century. Going back to the beginning of time. And this is, by God's grace, the strength that we have within Sanatana Dharma, is that we have unbroken parampara. So we are the most fortunate of beings, that within Sanatana Dharma, even though so many sister religions, sister paths have been broken, and again, not their fault, they were broken from the outside by invaders. They were broken. So as a result, so much has been lost. By God's grace, he chose that Sanatana Dharma would never be broken. Ever. Thus, it is Sanatana, eternal, Dharma, natural way. So this is indeed also what Kulashekhara is speaking about here. Now, let's go on to the next verse, where he continues explaining to us, all right, well, this perfection of life, what do we do such that we achieve this perfection of life? So now let's look at the next verse, which is Mukunda Mala Stotra, and now verse 26. My dear tongue, I stand before you with joined palms and beg you to recite the names of Lord Nārāyana, These names describing the supreme absolute truth bring great pleasure, as if exuding honey. Oh, how amazing. Let's talk about this verse a little bit. First of all, again, we've seen that throughout the Mukunda Mala Stotra, Kulashekhara is often addressing different people, different things even. He's addressing God repeatedly. He addresses his own mind. He's addressing us. Now, interestingly, he's addressing his own tongue. What an amazing thing. He's talking to his own tongue, but what is he saying? He's not just speaking to his tongue. He's imploring his tongue. Now, let's stop there for a moment before we go into what he says to his tongue. Why? Why is he not just speaking to his tongue, but imploring? He says the word beg. I am begging you. Why? Well, the tongue, the mouth, is one of the most powerful things that human beings have. As someone who has studied so much history, I love history. I love history. I don't mean History Channel history. I mean real history. I mean, I've read Tacitus. I mean, I've read many of the ancient works. I've read many of the ancient epics of Homer, etc. History is an amazing thing. And what have we seen again and again? That there are various ways in which human beings will wield power. Oh, they do it violently. Oh, when you study history, what is a lot of it? Oh, this war, this battle led to this battle, but then another war started, and it goes on and on. That's one way. What's the other thing that you see? You see people changing the world again and again and again with their mouth. With their mouth. So the mouth is just as powerful as anything, as the physical body, as martial strength, etc., etc. And of course, when we speak about the mouth, the mouth can change someone's opinion, one person. It can change a nation. If you have a person who is a master orator, that person can change a nation, but this is what's important. For good or bad. For good or bad. See, the mouth can be used to rouse someone who is depressed and give them hope and get them up on their feet. Or mouth can be used to lie to the masses and to cover up people's eyes. So this being the case, Kulashekhara understands this. This is why he's speaking to his own mouth, to his own tongue, and he's saying to his tongue, please listen to me. Please, I know what I'm saying. You can do so many things. Oh, you are so powerful. He's talking to his mouth. But I ask you, please listen. Do this. Do this specific thing. And what is it? Again, I stand before you with joined palms, and I beg you to recite the names of Lord Nārāyana. Lord Nārāyana. So first of all, indeed, this is the name that is used throughout the Mukunda Mala Stotra, the primary name for God. There are so many dozens of names we've seen. So many dozens of names of God are used. But what we see is that this is the theme, that Kulashekhara understands that the highest name of God is Nārāyana. So this is why even here he says, recite the names of Lord Nārāyana, that is in the Sanskrit. Now, why does he say this? Well, for those individuals who are Vaishnavas, for those individuals who follow this path, and when I say follow, I don't just mean that they consider themselves members or followers or whatever. No, I mean they practice. They practice in order to know themselves, in order to know God. They do meditation. What is the primary practice that we do? We do mantra meditation. And what is mantra meditation? By definition, of course, we understand it's meditation upon a mantra. But not just any mantra. You see, I've had to say this again and again because today so many of these terms, due to New Age speculation, due to academics who really don't know anything but love to pretend because that's how they get their tenure, etc. Meditation is a very specific thing. What meditation means is going within in silence and bringing your full awareness to one thing, and that one thing cannot be just anything. It must be the highest of things if it is then going to have a purifying effect upon us. And thus we meditate on mantra. And again, any mantra, any word, we can make something up. God is love, God is love, God is... I'm going to repeat this for half an hour. No. Mantra is a science. It means very specifically a string of sounds that are brought together in such a way that they have a direct effect within us. This is the example I've given. It's like a key. People have fewer keys these days, but some people still have an actual key to get in their house or whatever. What is a key? Why is it that a key will work only for your lock and not anyone else's? It's because the key is formed in a certain way that the teeth will fit only your lock. If you try to use that key for some other lock, it's not going to work. In the same way, this is how mantras are. They are constructed via sound vibration in a certain way to have an effect on us. Now, the most powerful such mantras are those mantras that are the names of God, specifically. Why is this the case? Why is this the case? Because we all have names. Everything has a name. You can point at anything. Anything has a name. I can be Frank. You can be John, Jill, Jack, this, that, the other, Bill, Bob, whatever. Those names are arbitrary. They were given to us by our parents at some point. Our parents could have given us a different name. Instead of Frank, I could have been Anthony. I could have been something else. I could have been Salvatore. I could have been anything. It's arbitrary. Arbitrary. So my name and I are not one. With God, on the other hand, God being the eternal, anything connected to God also similarly is not only eternal but co-absolute. This being the case, when we recite the name of God, it's not like reciting the name Jack. Jack, Jack, Jack. No, we are now reciting something that is non-different from the absolute. That being the case, when now we go into meditation and we recite Om Namo Nārāyanaya, Om Namo Nārāyanaya, and now we are reciting the names of God. This has the ability to do everything for us, because now we are quite literally, what are we doing? Again, let me use these examples. You're ill. You have a medicine, some sort of medicine that a real healer, somebody who actually knows what they're doing, has given you. What do you do with that medicine? You take it within you and you're healed. When we recite the name of God, we are taking that name of God, which is non-different from God, into us. Imagine that. And imagine the healing effect of that. That we are quite literally taking that which is the source of all goodness, of all purity, of all light, of all truth within us in the form of sound vibration. Now we too become like unto God. That is, that we begin to also become pure, become good, etc. So this is why Kulashekhara is saying this. He's telling his own tongue, "Oh tongue, there are so many things that you can say. We know that. There are an infinite number of things that our mouth can say. Good, bad, worthless, nonsense, everything. But of all those things, recite the name of Nārāyana and meditate upon the name of Nārāyana." So this is what he is saying here. And now, this last part is beautiful. These names, the names of Nārāyana, describing the supreme absolute truth, bring great pleasure. Again, we'll pause there for a moment. So these names, he's explaining, again, these names are describing the supreme absolute, i.e. they are non-different from God, from the supreme absolute. And to recite these names, to meditate upon these names, gives great pleasure. For any individual who has done mantra meditation, serious, strict, yogic mantra meditation upon the names of God for long enough, you feel that pleasure. You feel that bliss within you. As you're sitting and you're reciting the names of God, and you can be saying it out loud, you can be whispering, you can be reciting the names within your mind. What begins to happen is you begin to feel the very bliss of those names themselves, to the point where you lose sight of the fact that you're even saying or hearing, you're tasting. What does that mean, to taste a sound? Well, this is, again, not any ordinary sound. This is the name of God. This being the case, it comes to the point where you say enough, Nārāyana, Nārāyana. You can even just say the name. You don't even have to say the full mantra. Better to say the mantra. But the name itself has the ability such that when you say it enough, it becomes sweet. It becomes sweet. And this is how Kulashekhara concludes this verse. As if exuding honey. As if exuding honey. How many people have tasted real honey? And when I say real honey, what I mean is not just, there's some good honey that you can buy. There's some very natural, organic honey. You go to a store, etc. I've tasted real honey, meaning I've been to places where, it's a place where they have actual beehives, etc. And you can actually buy not just honey in a jar, but the actual honeycomb. And you can take a piece of it off and it's dripping honey and you put it in your mouth and you chew on it. And of course you don't swallow the wax, but still you're tasting that honey, and it is the sweetest taste, the most natural taste imaginable. That's what it's like when you begin to recite the names of God, is that it's as if you are tasting honey. Such is the nature of the sweetness. So amazing. Absolutely beautiful. Mukunda Mala Stotra. With that, let's now do the very last verse that we're going to do today. And this is Mukunda Mala Stotra, verse 27. At every moment I bow down to the lotus feet of Nārāyana. I perform worship to Nārāyana. I recite the pure name of Nārāyana, and I reflect on the infallible truth of Nārāyana. Beautiful. Very nice. And again, before I comment on any verse, I always make sure that I take a very, very good look and reading, and I analyze the Sanskrit of these verses, which I did with all these, and this one especially. And indeed, this is indeed very faithful to the original Sanskrit, where again it mentions the name of Nārāyana specifically again and again and again and again. So there's a reason why there's the repetition, of course. Why is there the repetition? We've spoken about this for decades. I've taught this for decades. This is part of how Sanskrit as a literary language works. That once in a while you'll have repetition. When there's repetition, be very careful. Don't just go on. Don't just say, oh, that's cute. No. When there's repetition of something, it means that the individual who revealed that verse, those verses, is trying to tell you, listen. No, don't just zoom by this verse. Listen. So we'll see, once in a while, something is repeated 3 times. Here, it's repeated 4 times. That's extremely rare. We saw that 2 verses ago. Servant of the servant of the... This was repeated. That means pay attention. It's deeper than you think. It's deeper. It's not just a repetition for the sake of repetition. Same thing here. Why is he repeating? Nārāyana, 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 Nārāyana. Why does he repeat this again and again? Several things. First of all, the very verse itself is a manifestation of sadhana. Think of this. What do I mean by that? What is Acharyaji saying? By saying the very verse itself, you are doing a type of sadhana. You also are repeating the name of Nārāyana. You're doing sadhana. You're doing meditation. You're doing mantra meditation by even saying this verse. That's the first thing that's so profound. That's so amazing. But more, of course, then, step down, he's also trying to explain to us, who is God? Who is God? In accordance with Sanatana Dharma. In accordance with Vaishnava Dharma. Who is God? God is Nārāyana. Who's saying this? Not just anyone. Not just, so-and-so Prabhu from the temple in Brooklyn. This is Kulashekhara. Who is Kulashekhara? We've spoken about who Kulashekhara is. And he's telling us, this is the highest name of God, Nārāyana. Now, all that being said, and there's a lot more that could be said about the repetition, let's go through this. First, the first clause. At every moment, all right, 3 words of the first clause. At every moment. What is meant by this at every moment? It has, of course, the obvious meaning, and that is a temporal one. Moment. Moment within the material world is a temporal designation. What does that mean? A moment is a fraction of a second. So, at every moment. So does it mean that? Yes, it means that. But it means something deeper than that. It means also within the context of eternality. So not just temporal, not just one moment after another, but also that which transcends all moments, that which is atemporal, that which transcends time itself. So at every moment, this is what I am to do. This is how we achieve God consciousness. This is how we achieve self-realization. This is how we come to the perfection of our life. That this is our goal, that at every moment, that is, within the context of eternality, this is what I must do. I bow down to the lotus feet of Nārāyana. What does it mean to bow down? This is something that, again, in the ancient world is universal. People today rarely see this. If you come to our temple, you'll see it all the time, actually. We do this before we do puja. We do this when we first come into the temple and greet the murtis, etc. There are many instances where we physically will bow down. In 2026, you don't see this a lot, but then for that matter, you don't see anything of value a lot in 2026 that were of value 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. But what does this mean? Well, if you went back to the ancient world, everyone bowed down. This was something that was universal. This was something that was Vedic, again, mentioned in ancient culture, mentioned the ancient Japanese, Chinese, Egyptians, throughout the length and breadth of Europe, mentioned ancient Rome. This was a practice. I've studied it. I know. This was a religious practice pre-Christian. This was the same in Greece as well, that you would bow down before the statue of Zeus, bow down before Apollo, before Pallas Athena, etc. This was universal. Now, why is there this physical, it's a physical motion, of course, that really is a physical reflection of what's occurring within the devotee. Because the physical part anyone can do. You can mean it, not mean it. You can still do the physical part of bowing down. But no, it's a manifestation of a sentiment that is there within you. Why do we do this? Why is this something that we have to begin doing again in 2026 and beyond, in this coming golden age that is dawning? It's because this itself is a form of sadhana. When we bow down to something or someone vastly greater than ourselves, what are we doing? So many things that I could give an hour-long lecture just on this alone, the etiquette of bowing down, of prostrated obeisances. But let me mention a few things. First of all, are we showing respect? Oh, absolutely. Are we also expressing proper etiquette? Yes, we are. We are manifesting within our own physical action hierarchy. See, today it's wonderful that there's been a revival of traditionalism. So even though, 20, 30, 50 years ago, hierarchy, that word became a dirty word, now people are finally re-embracing it. They understand that hierarchy is nature. You reject hierarchy, you're rejecting nature. You're rejecting the trees, literally. You can't claim, I love nature, but hierarchy is an evil oppressor. No, be quiet. If you reject hierarchy, you're rejecting nature. You should stop being a hypocrite and stop taking hikes in nature, because you're rejecting nature if you reject hierarchy. But what does hierarchy actually look like in manifest form? Not just speaking about it. I'm speaking to traditionalists out there right now who love hierarchy, who kind of understand it. Well, when you are offering such a bow, you are manifesting hierarchy there before you in action form. Because this is the thing. In this case, we're talking about bowing at the lotus feet of God. But truthfully, we are to offer our obeisances, our prostrated obeisances, to anyone who is vastly superior to us. What does this mean? This means that you offer your obeisances to a king, a real king, not King Charles, no, a real king. Not Andrew, who will never be king, that's for sure. A real king. You offer your obeisances. That means you meet a sage. That means an individual who is on fire with God within him and whose eyes glow because he is on fire with the love of God. You offer your obeisances. But this is what's interesting. Again, what's the dirty word? That really is the most beautiful word. Hierarchy. As you offer your obeisances to someone who is superior to you, that person is offering their obeisances to someone superior to them, who is offering obeisances to someone superior to them, until you get all the way up to even the point of Indra, to the point of Vodan himself. But then who is he offering obeisances to? You see, it's a chain of divine causality of obeisance, such that who is the ultimate being toward whom all must offer obeisances? That is Nārāyana. So indeed, when we see this, I bow down at the lotus feet, this is not a sign of humiliation. It is a sign of etiquette in accordance with nature and hierarchy. And that's what we're doing with our very action itself. That's why in ancient times, who were, and I'm talking about truly ancient times, 3,000, 4,000 years ago and way beyond, who were the individuals who were the servants of the God? And let me explain what I mean by the God. I've written about this in several of my books, including Interregnum, but several of my books. Every ancient kingdom, often they were city-states. When we say a kingdom, often it was a massive city, massive meaning 50,000 people, and then they would have lands around them, etc. Sometimes it was an empire, etc. But in any case, in that capital of the city-state, there was the temple and the god or goddess. And who was the chief priest? It was the king. So indeed, as the subjects would come to the king and offer their obeisances, the king would then go to the god or the goddess and offer his obeisances at the feet of that being. So indeed, now we understand. But in this case, this is Kulashekhara. He's skipping over everything that we just said. And why? Because he assumes he's speaking to civilized people and that they know this already. How sad is it that in 2026, so few people know what I just have been speaking about for 5 minutes. But he's making the assumption, no, I'm talking to civilized people. They know this. So instead, let me cut to the chase. At every moment, I bow down to the lotus feet of Nārāyana. And now let's go on. I perform worship to Nārāyana. What does it mean to perform worship? It means to honor Nārāyana in every way. People don't quite understand this idea of worship. Worship means, let me give you the actual definition, to honor with devotion ex being. That's it. That is worship. So, and it almost doesn't matter the context. Let's say you're Christian, you're worshiping Jesus. You are honoring with devotion Jesus. Or let's say you're a Buddhist and you are worshiping a beautiful statue of the Buddha. Same thing. But in this particular case, again, he's talking about Nārāyana. He's talking about God. So I perform worship to Nārāyana. So again, he's offering his respects. He is honoring with great devotion that which is the source of all reality. Now we go on. I recite the pure name of Nārāyana. So again, we spoke about this in the previous verse, but let's just talk a little bit more about this clause and how it's a little bit, not so much different, but supportive of what was just said in the previous verse. I recite the pure name of Nārāyana. So again, this gets back to what I was explaining to people a short time ago. The name of Nārāyana, the name of God. And again, Nārāyana is not the only name. There are many names for God. These names are different from any other material designation. In the material world, technically speaking, every material object, really anything that is perceptual, so any object that we could potentially touch, interestingly, anything conceptual as well, anything of importance conceptually, has what technically is called nama and rupa. Name and form. Name and form. In the case of conceptual things, conceptual form. But they're all arbitrary. They're all arbitrary. Water. How many names are there for water in accordance with the language that's being spoken? Thousands. There are thousands of languages in existence, you understand, and thousands have been lost. Well, we can call water anything. Right now in English, we're calling it water. Well, suppose some slang comes up in 50 years, but then that replaces the word water and people start referring to water by that slang word. That will now be the new word for water, etc. All arbitrary. But when we speak about the names of God, we're talking about something that is non-distinct from God. There is God and there is God's name, and they are the same. So thus, God being the purest of the pure, that name also is pure, and this is why we meditate upon it. And then finally, the last clause that is here. And I reflect on the infallible truth of Nārāyana. And that's the last clause that is here in this last verse that we're going to look at for today. But indeed, let's go a little bit deeply into this, because like with so many of these verses, clauses within the verses, this is much more profound than people think. First of all, I reflect on. What does that mean when you reflect on something? It means that what is a reflection? By definition, it's a reflection of something. So in other words, you've had the experience first and foremost, then having had the experience, you deal with the experience. You think about the experience. You incorporate the experience into yourself, etc. That's what it means to reflect. Correct? Reflect is not an original thought. Reflect is that, no, X happened, now I'm going to think about that thing. You know, even the word itself is reflection of something. I reflect on the infallible truth of Nārāyana. So again, this is deeper than I think most people understand. Had he just stopped at, I reflect on the infallible truth, that would have been okay. Nothing wrong with that. That would have been fine. Because as spiritual seekers, as individuals who sincerely want to know truth, etc., is that not what we're trying to do? We are trying to reflect on that infallible truth. But several things. First of all, he makes this very clear. He has an adjective in there. Not just truth, but infallible truth. This makes it clear that what he's talking about is not just something that is true, meaning that its opposite is a falsehood. But he's talking about that which is infallible truth. What is meant by infallible truth? It means that it's unassailable truth. What is meant by unassailable truth? It means that it is truth before which nothing can stand, nothing can exist. To say it's the highest of truths would be putting it lightly. It is that truth before which untruth does not even exist. So thus he's making it clear that when he uses the word quote-unquote truth, he doesn't mean truth in merely the sense of common parlance. That, you know, oh, my car is red, and you do happen to own a red car. Is that the truth? Well, then yes. Yes. That's a factual truth. You could have had a green car. You could have had a blue car. Your car's not going to last forever. Eventually you're going to buy another car. Unless you're a fanatic and you want to make sure every car that you own from the time you're 18 until you die at 80 is a red car. No, this is not infallible truth. It's just factual. So what kind of truth is he speaking of? Let's go deeper. For those among us who are philosophers, and I know for the International Sanatana Dharma Society, for those who are faithful members of the ISDS, oh, that means many of us, actually. Is he speaking even merely about philosophical truth? It's what the truth he's speaking about is something deeper than even that. Is he speaking about wisdom, which is actually higher than just philosophical truth? He's speaking about something deeper than that. Because again, let's read the full thing. He does not stop by saying just, I reflect on the infallible truth. I reflect on the infallible truth of Nārāyana. That is possessed by Nārāyana? No, you see in the English, unfortunately, with the possessive It's imperfect in English translation. Let me translate this perfectly for you. I reflect on the infallible truth that is Nārāyana. That's what he's saying. So thus, when he says infallible truth, he's talking about, oh yes, that which is true to the point where, to the qualitative degree to which untruth cannot even exist in his presence, but more, that truth is God. God is that truth in this highest of senses. So this is what he's saying, that Nārāyana is that infallible truth, and I reflect upon Nārāyana. Why? Why is this the case? What does it matter? What does it matter? Well, again, there are multiple forms of truth. Some of them are just factual. They come and go. They come and go. You know, oh, who's president of the United States right now? And you say the name. Oh, that's true. Say that in 20 years. It won't be true. Or let's say you're living in 1952 and you say, oh, who's president of the United States? Now you have to say a different name, etc. But what we're talking about is that truth, that it's not merely that it does not change. It's not merely that it is truth for us. It is that it is truth in personhood, in the form of a person. And that is that person who is the very source of all truth, and which, once you know that person, there is no valuable truth that you do not know. So, absolutely amazing. This is how deep these verses are, and this is why we're doing the entire Mukunda Mala Stotra. We've been doing this for not just weeks, but several months now, and we will continue to the end, because each of these verses are astounding. And who is this person? Who is this Kulashekhara? Again, I've said his little biography. Oh, he's a king, he's a sage. But also he is considered to be historically one of what is called the Alvars. There are 12 individuals, 12 of them, and they're called the Alvars. These are individuals who have dived deeply into God. And they're all sages, they're all saints, they all existed thousands of years before Christ, actually. That's when they all lived. And Kulashekhara is one of these people. So if we truly are serious and sincere, let me just state this in this very brief, but in just an infallible, logical sort of way. Everyone watching right now, why are you here? Why are you doing this instead of bowling? Why are you doing this instead of pick something else? Because this interests you. You want to know truth. You want to know truth. Hopefully, if you're intelligent, you also understand it's not just that you want to know truth, you want to know God, who is truth. And that being the case, how do you attain that knowledge? And more, how do you attain that experience of God? How is it that you know the presence of God within you in such a way that now you are a new being? You do that by approaching those places that will reveal that to you. What does that mean? Individuals, gurus, but also such works as this. This is what is truly astounding. That understanding all that logical sequence, if an individual truly wants to know the ultimate truth, the infallible truth that is Nārāyana, how do you do this? This Mukunda Mala Stotra, and this is not the only way, but this is, as we've seen, a powerful way. Take every single verse of this work very seriously. Understand it. Oh, that's the beginning. Yes, understand it. Understand what it's saying to you philosophically and with great humility. But more, practice what Kulashekhara is telling you. He's begging his own tongue, please recite these names of Nārāyana. If we understand and practice everything in this work, it's guaranteed. If you do this, if you do it with humility and sincerity and patience. There's no patience today. We live in a TikTok culture. It has to be quick. If it takes more than 3 minutes, I get bored. No. With patience, if you understand and follow everything that's being said, you will know God. And you will have the perfection of your life. absolute perfection of your life. Very good. So with that, indeed, we will stop here with these verses. Let me tell people just a few things. Don't leave just yet, because this is important actually. For those individuals especially who are somewhat new to the channel, somehow or other you found out about this and you decided to, let me give this a try and let me see what this live stream is about. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for indeed giving this a try and coming here. And let me also just say something very personal to you. And this applies really to everyone. You've been here for a long time. You've been here for the very first time. Please continue to come back. Because indeed, if you're a sincere spiritual seeker, what you are seeking is being revealed to you in this Dharma Nation channel. Because of me? No. No. Because of what we look at and what we study and what we share with the world, and that is works like this. So please come back. We will continue with these beautiful verses next week, next Sunday, but also a few other very quick things. Please visit our website also, where we have more information about our path of Sanatana Dharma, about specifically our movement called the International Sanatana Dharma Society, which is on the very cutting edge, bar none, of restoring Sanatana Dharma to this world. Learn more about our movement by going to dharmacentral.com. Please look at our books. Oh, and indeed, we have, it's going to be very soon 15 books. We have 14 right now. I have by my side the latest one that came out. Another one will be coming out in hopefully maybe 2 weeks, roughly. But this one is called Be Strong, and we have so many books. Please look through these books if you want more information like what we have given you today, except even better because in book form. So please visit Dharma Central. If and only if you can, please consider donating to the International Sanatana Dharma Society. This is not just a YouTube channel. This is a movement. It's a 501c3 religious nonprofit. If you go to dharmacentral.com, you'll see on the menu where you can indeed donate to our movement and help us to teach these teachings to other people as well. Also, we have a Discord server. Please join our Discord server when you can, if indeed you want to have more conversation with our devotees, ask more questions. If you want encouragement on the spiritual path, join our Discord server. And I'm hoping that the link has been put there in the chat. If it is, then please join our Discord server. And with that, indeed, we're going to stop here. I thank you all again, everyone, for being here. I thank you so much. Join us again next week. And with that, everyone, Namaste. Jaya Shriman Nārāyana.
Jaya Shriman Nārāyana.
And everyone, between now and the next time we get together, whatever you see happening in the news around you, it's all right. Ma shuchaha. Do not fear.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanama-dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma sangstapanartaya Sambhavami yuge yuge